So this is the next part on the DDR. I'm just going to go and clean all this carbon off the power valve, just so it operates smooth in the barrel, just before the barrel comes back. And that's the power valve clean now. It has got rub marks there. I don't know what they're off. When I put the power valve into the barrel, it doesn't even come into the bore, so it's maybe been set up wrong at one point. I'll show a common mistake, what could cause that, what people do. Anyway, this is the barrel, just come back from Jim Bailey at Roadrunners. Also a mint job. Perfect that. And he's done as the piston as well. Got the rings, the little bottom ring what goes in the bottom. So now we'll put the power valve in. It splits into two. One side goes in one way. The pin's popping out there. One side goes in one side, and the other side goes in the other. So you fit that side, then that side. So we'll oil all this up, put it in, get that big bolt in, Loctite the end of the bolt. We'll get the bolt on properly, because when it tightens up, it doesn't sit flush with that. It sits a couple of mil up. And I've had tons of power valves would have had the ends snapped in there of this big bolt, of people thinking this bolt should be flush, but it's not. But anyway, I'll show that. So we'll get this lubed and get the power valve in. So that's that side lubed up with 2-stroke. I've lubed up in there with 2-stroke oil. Just put that side in first. You can see the 2 pins in there. Just have it like that. And then when you look through there, just slide the other side of the power valve onto there. First, we need to put this on. This just pushes on. Make sure that seal's all right there. And we'll take that ring off and put a new orange ring on as well. That's the other side all lubed up with the new ring on. There's the old ring, the rubber one. So just get this. You can see through there the old power valve. So just fit this through. And then just look up there and just make sure the match, the line up. That just needs tapped in with a rubber mallet so that sits flush. And then the power valve joins. And then we'll get that bolt through there with some Loctite. That's the power valve in properly now. I've just tapped that end over. It's fully together. See, that's the valve down there. If you turn it to there, that's fully open. So that's how you should be wanting your power valve, fully open like that. Just a lot of people have fixed a lot of bikes where they've had this. I'll find the part. This is the part, the snap one with that bit snapped off, what come on it. A lot of people, that's the right way to have it. So you fit that onto there. So when that's fitted, it should be like that. And that's the hole you put the drill bit through to keep this still while you're tightening that bolt up to set it. And it should be looking like that, flush. But what a lot of people do is spin this power valve round so it looks like that, and then they fit the black part onto there like that, so it's all lined up with the hole, and that's all on properly. But when the power valve turns, it turns the wrong way. That's what them marks is probably off, them rub marks. The power valve going the wrong way. They will be off that actually, because there's the power valve if it was on wrong, and that's fully open. So that part of the power valve would be in the bore, rubbing. So you just remember when you pull this black cap off, you've got to have your power valve flat, like that, flush, before you put that part on. So it lines up like that with the top hole, what I mentioned before. Anyway, we'll get the bolt through, Loctite it, tighten it into there, and that's the bolt Loctited. Just put it in, we'll tighten it up. I'll go and get the Allen key. That's the bolt nearly tightened in. You might have to put something in there, because once the bolt tightens up, the power valve just spins. So this sticking through will keep it still. Anyway, I've already Loctited it. Just tighten it up gently. Just remember, it's fine threads and it's Loctited, so you don't want to be doing it too tight. But that's it done, and that's how the bolt sits out. You can see it's sitting out a couple of mil. So that's the power valve done, and that's the end cap looped in there. I've put some lock seal on the little bolt because these always come off. So just fit that onto there. I forgot, I've got to put an orange ring on there. That's the new orange ring on. Just push it on. That's it on, then just put that bolt in what's Loctited. Just tighten that bolt up. So that's the end cap fitted. Just remember to Loctite it. And one thing I always check just before I put the piston in, that's the power valve fully open. When your bike starts, the valve drops back into the barrel like that. Don't know if you can see it, but anyway, yeah, that's the position of the valve. So that valve's as far back as it can drop. So just get your piston, just loop inside at the top, and that's with the valve like that still. And the piston's not touching the valve, as you can see. So that's good. So we'll oil the piston up now and get the barrel onto the bike. And one more last thing to remember. On this side of the barrel, you can see the holes are bigger. You've got this one's in the barrel. The one that goes onto there is on the bike. These holes are smaller. These are just to keep the barrel lined up when it goes on the engine. So just make sure you've got both of them. So now we're going to loop the piston up, loop the bore up as well. But first of all, I'm going to be putting the barrel into the bike from the right side over into it. So on this piston, that's the front. So I'm going to put the circlip into there, so I don't have to put it in when it's in the bike. And if you ever get them and they don't have pointers there, the two notches what the rings clip round are always on the back of your piston towards your carb. They're never on this side where the exhaust port is. So if you ever done an old bike with no pointer or no arrow or no cross mark or whatever they've got, just remember your two notches of your rings are always at the back of your piston. So we'll get the circlip into this side. That's the circlip in that side of the piston. So when it fits in, it'll be on there in that side. And when you fit them, always have them so that over the gap what you pop it out of, don't have one end there and one end of the circlip like that. Don't have them like that. You have it like that, the circlip at the top. And we will lube all this up, get the rings on. And if you look on the rings, you might just be able to see. There you can see 25 on that ring. And on that ring you can see it looks like a little R. And that one's got 25 on as well. Just see it there under my finger. Anyway, when the rings go on, if you're looking down at your piston, and this is the top of your piston, you should be able to read both of them letters when you're looking down. So that's which way the rings go. And these rings are different on this piston. Zoom back out. If you look, one ring is like a normal ring, what fits around the little nipple, the circular nipple. And that ring there is just all flat. If you look on the piston, that's the one where the circular one fits underneath. And then what's all flat goes round that nipple and just covers it totally. So that's both the gaps for the rings lubed. It's just all rolled round, but it'll go back round. And I've put the pin in from this side. Just remember the piston's going on that way. So now I'll put both the rings on. First you get this little ring here, and that goes in the bottom groove. Just make sure it slips over that notch. That's the black ring in. I'll put the bottom ring on. That's the bottom ring. That's what it fits over, that circle. Get the top ring. That's the top ring in. So the top ring nips over that, and the bottom ring nips over that. It's all got a nip up flush to go up into the bore. So I'm going to lube all the piston, lube the bore, and then get the piston into the barrel just up to here, and then I'll show what I'm going to do next. And that's the barrel and the piston all lubed. I'm just going to lube these little end bearings. I'm going to put them in the bike just while I'm still working in here. So I'll go and put these in now into the conrod, and then now get the piston and nip them both over them two slots and slide them into the cylinder. If you do it this way, you can get the first one in first and then do the second one. So that's the first one in. And you can see there's the gap. There's the gap of the second one. So I'll just nip the gap up over the notch, just so it's all flush. And then that's it. And just push it down into the barrel and just make sure the rings is all fitted. Which you can see there that they are. So just wipe that because it's got a bit of oil on. I've already put the gasket into the bike, so now we'll just go and push the barrel onto the bike. So now we're going to fit the barrel onto the conrod. I also have the conrod all the way down, so there's plenty of room to work with. Plus that's why I've pushed that to there. So I'll show in a minute. If you're going to see on video. And that metal stopper there, what I was on about in the video earlier. There it is down there. You probably can't see it because there's a oil pump casing, but anyway, push that down. Then slide the conrod up. You see the little end bearings through the piston pin. So you just line it up and just slide it in. So there, it just slides in easy. slid in your circlip ready and your paper towel, just so you don't forget. Now I'm going to get that circlip into there, and then we'll get the barrel down. That's the circlip in properly. Just remember how to fit it, how I fitted the last circlip. Just slide the barrel down. That's the barrel on. So now I'm going to torque these 4 bolts down. Just remember to put that one onto there, but it's best to get it into the nipple first before you put it onto the thread. So just get that into the nipple up there. That's it into the nipple. And that's the holder onto there. So we'll torque the bolts down now. Now all them 4 bolts are hand tight. This is what I use to torque them up. It's the Motion Pro. Just put your spanner into there, tighten it in, and then you can tighten it to torque. Just you can't get in with a torque wrench to tighten those or this front bolt unless you've got that tool. So you just torque these, and the 20 pounds foot, and it's set to 20, so and this front one. And this back one. And that's that one torqued, if you listen. This back one off. That one done. That's that one done. You can hear the wrench clicking. That's that one done. So that's the base bolts all torqued up. We'll get the head on next. Here's just a quick look at the piston. Not one bit of movement. That's Jim Bailey for you. Perfect job all the time. Now put the head gasket on. Goes on that way. If you can see at the bottom, it says up. It's a vertex. So when you put it on, up faces upwards. Just make sure that's clean underneath, which I've already cleaned. Just slide it there, so when you look at it, it says up there. Just scrape the gasket off there as well. So I'll be putting the new water pump on, gasket and casing back on as well. But there's the head, so we're going to get the head on. That's the head on. I'll just tighten, get the washers and the 4 bolts. But if you remember when I stripped it down, the front washer was too thin, it was too big. I'll try and find them. So I'll try and find a proper dt125r washer for the front. So that's the cylinder nuts. That was on the front when it didn't have a dome nut. So I've found that dome nut upstairs. They're the ones that were on it. It did have 4 proper washers, which was them. And there's the other proper washer I've just got from upstairs. Just a lot different to that. It's got like kind of grooves on where it's been digging into it. So anyway, we'll get these on, put them on the crisscross pattern, tighten them up, hand tight by spanner, then torque them up. 16 pound pressure, so I've got the wrench set at 16. Just tighten them up. Use this tool again to get in to torque it. So that's the head bolts in tightened up. Now we're going to get this pipe onto there. Just fits on. Tighten that up. Put the bracket onto there. Then tighten this front engine mount bolt up because it's left it tight, because like I said earlier, if you tighten the swinging arm you can't get that bolt through, but if you tighten the swinging arm and that bolt, this bracket doesn't fit. As if you watch, the engine still lifts up and down and still slack. So we'll get that bracket on next, then tighten that, tighten the swinging arm, get the water pump gasket and case on, then get the oil bottle rigged up. So that's the bracket on. I just normally leave them top brackets off, but it's not my bike. That's the bottom front mount tightened and the swinging arms tightened as well. Next I'll get that bit of the gasket off this side of the casing and then we'll put that on there. So that's all the gasket off there. It's got the two little pins in. Normally the two little pins is in there, so I'll just put the gasket onto here before I fit it on. That's the gasket on there over the two pins. Just put it on. And it's on there, but not on properly, because if you've seen before, I always leave a gap so you can see the bolts going through and through into the gasket. But the gasket shouldn't slip anyway because it's got the two pins on. But there's the bolts, so we'll put them in anyway. So that's the water pump on. I'll put that tube along there next. I've still got to put a crimp onto this what was on there, so I'll just pull it off so I remember. Kick starting not to go on, I'll put a little bit Loctite on. I've just put the oil pump cable in with the little clip behind it, just so the cable doesn't come out. But this isn't the proper box for this model. It should be a skinny round one what hooks onto there. This is off an old one. Anyway, go round to the oil pump and I'll show how far off it is. That's just why I've been checking the junction box to make sure the cables are in case I give a false reading on here. When you wind your throttle on full, that little line there should line up with the front of that big fat triangle there. So I'm going to wind the throttle on full now. Just get the camera there. And that's the throttle on full. So you can see how far the oil pump's out. If I let the throttle off, that's where the oil pump should be, about there. So we're going to adjust it by there, by that nut and that other big nut. And you just pull that rubber black boot back, because that keeps it all still, that boot. So we'll just get the two 10mm on there and slacken this off. And that's the slackened. Normally when they're set, this bolt's near enough near the bottom. Then you just tighten this one and you'll see the dial move as I'm tightening it, as I'm doing that. You see the dial move. Just try it now with the throttle. It's not far off. That's it there now, one full throttle. That's the throttle off. That's the throttle on, so that's the pump set. So I'll just nip that nut back up with that while holding that still, and then pull this boot under there, because like I said before, that boot keeps this still. So we'll nip this nut up. So that's the nut backed up onto the long one. It's got the sleeve on to keep it still. Now, just try full throttle. That's alright, that. So So that's the oil pump done. To bleed it, this oil's just when I put this tube in. To bleed it, you pop this off. Sometimes they've got a Jubilee clip, but this just pops off. You pop that off till no more air bubbles pop out the oil. But I'll do that tomorrow when I test the oil pump, because you just, when the engine's ticking over, you turn this dial all the way around so that line's lining up with that as if it was on full, and on tick over it'll be feeding this pipe faster to the engine, so tons of smoke will come flying out the end. That's how I know if the pump's working. That's the front sputter on. I've bent that over, there wasn't much to work with. Split link's on as well. When you fit the split link, the wheel's turning this way, so the round part of the split link faces that way. Just if you fit it with the pointy bits that way, when that wheel's going round it could catch something, so always have it like that. And I'm going to take the stator off there where I've had it and put it on. There's only 2 bolts there and there. You haven't got to set it, it just fits on. And then we'll put the woodruff key in. Sometimes it's, if the woodruff key's, I remember it being slack when I took it off, so I know it'll go in easy. But if it's tight and you've pulled it out, it's best to put it in now before you put your stator on, because if it's tight they're hard to get in if your stator's over that gap. So anyway, we'll get the stator in and I'll Loctite the two bolts, and then we'll get the woodruff key in and get the flywheel on and torque it up. That's the stator on now, and I've put the woodruff key in as well. So we'll put the flywheel on next. Just make sure you clean it all, because with it being magnetised, it catches stuff. And that's what was in before. Stuck to it, like that on the side. With it being a magnet. So just always check your flywheel, wipe it down. And then you've got that where the woodruff key fits, that square. When you look through that, you can see the woodruff key through that square. So we'll just push it on now. And that's it on there. It's slipped over. It's turning the engine. So now there's a big space that goes in there in the nut. So I'll go and get that. We'll put that on and torque it up. So that's the big spacer. Just put that in. And that's the nut. And it's got to be torqued up to 58 pound pressure. So we'll just get that on. Hand tight. That's hand tight now. So just put the puller tool in. I'm using that part of the puller. This is what holds the clutch basket. It doubles up as a holder. Get into them 2 holes. And that's it on tight. It's resting up against the foot peg. So when I turn it, it should keep the flywheel still. And that's it. Listen to the click again. So that's that torqued up. Get this tool off. So that's the engine all rebuilt now and everything in. I've just got to wait for one of them. Like I said before, the kid whose bike it is come braying at my door. I've only got the barrel back on Wednesday. It was Friday yesterday when he came. It's now Saturday, and I did tell him if I haven't got one of these, it's going to be Monday. It might not even be Monday, but I told him Monday, because he wanted to take his bike back half in bits, but not want to pay us. Just because I erased Facebook, but he still had my messenger. I thought he had my phone number, but you cannot come praying on people's door like that. I first had me having a joint thing. I thought it was the police. Anyway, that's all that side done. Power valves like that. When I set this new black thing, when it comes, I'll show up the barrel how it should be, how I mentioned at the beginning of the video, just because people muddle it up. And another thing, when that's on, when you've got your power valve servo on, you've got 1 and 2 there, and on the case what's here, it's got 1 and 2 on. 1 goes to 2 and 2 goes to 1 on the cables. But if the cables are crossed over, that pulls the power valve the wrong way as well. So that could have been why the power valve's got them notches on where the piston's been rubbing, what I showed at the beginning of the video. But anyway, like I say, as I've told the lad, I've just got to wait for one of them. I did say if I had one I'd put one on, but I haven't got one. I've got to fix one of them on. I've cut the end off. There's the old end of what was on, what wasn't even fitted. No, there it is. So that's why when it heated up, it hasn't told them on the temperature gauge that it's been hot, because that wasn't even fitted. It was just hung down. I just found it over there. I don't know what this carb's off. But anyway, that's it all done anyway. The top end on, the stator on, the flywheel, the chain, everything I had to do. Apart from that black pulley, which I haven't got. I'll tell them I'll have to order one. I told the lad that. So that's it, everything done. If that black, I think that's the black pulley down there. If that black pulley does come on Monday, I'll have it done on Monday. But anyway, thanks for watching.